And just one other topic, going slightly off apps, but mobile commerce. Thinking about the companies that are here today. I mean, have you seen many apps and sites that are doing m-commerce well? I mean, there's a huge growth of kind of vouchering apps. We've talked today about things like Shopkick in the States. Is there anything that really stands out for you so far that's been done? Anything that you're using in particular in the m-commerce field?
I suppose behaviourally, something that we're seeing a lot of people do, and some shops have cottoned onto this, is you go into the high street retailer to do your research, don't you? You find out, look at the devices, play with the physical objects, then scan the barcodes, look up how cheap you can get it online, and then sort of complete your purchase online. I think the more a retailer can get into that cycle and understand that that's an important consumer behaviour, is going to be really powerful. So I remember Amazon did that probably over a year ago with Amazon Remembers. It was a really, really smart kind of idea. Take a photo of anything, physical object, whatever it is, and they'll find out what it is and come back to you and give you a price on it. So some of that stuff's really interesting behaviour.
I don't have any practical experience in it, but I do have an opinion on it. And I think what I find is interesting is that this whole concept of you have to shop, the old concept 20 years ago was you had to shop between 9 and 5:30, and then you could shop between 9 and 6:30, and then you could shop on a Saturday, and then you shop on a Sunday. And the shopping time that we have has greatly evolved. And the interesting thing about the shopping through an app or a phone or a tablet or whatever it is, it allows you to be shopping 24/7. Whilst it's not necessarily a good thing, lots of opportunity to spend money. But the key thing is that most brands will try and target you at the time when you make the decision to buy that product. And that is obviously the most important time to hit them with a particular piece of comms or an app or a tool, whatever the case may be. So if odds are you're probably not going to think about buying a keg of beers at 11:30 in the morning on a Monday. Probably you're thinking maybe, some of us, you're probably going to think about doing that, let's say at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock at night on a Friday evening. Therefore, if all the shops are closed, having an application that you can use to buy at that point in time when you decide to actually purchase it, I think that's an interesting area that mobile technology, whether it be smartphones or iPhones, can offer an interesting avenue.
I think also there's a big difference between buying stuff on your mobile device and redeeming against discount and vouchers. And I think that there's been numerous cautionary tales in the last year, from VoucherCloud and Groupon. The reality is that brands can't continue to only return value to shoppers by making things cheaper. Brands will just fall apart. So we have to start looking at how we can return value digitally or through your mobile device to consumers that isn't about making stuff cheaper. So it's about utility, or it's about content, or it's about engagement, or it's about entertaining, because all of these things are equally valuable. And there was a great story about the guy, who was apparently the franchise director for Pizza Express in London in the southeast, and he did a big VoucherCloud deal and a Groupon deal the same week, forgetting the fact that he has a Pizza Express outside the Kennington Oval cricket ground, and forgetting the fact that there was a 5-day test match on at the Kennington Oval, and for 5 days the Pizza Express outside the Kennington Oval lost about £15,000 a day because nobody bought anything at its the real price. Now, albeit that's a particularly kind of focused example, I think there's lessons to be learned in that. We need to be quite cautious in just kind of in that notion of discount, and I genuinely think that will pass.
Okay, final chance for any of you to ask any questions. In fact, maybe we've got one here.
What's the most interesting app you've helped to develop and why?
So the most interesting app you've helped to develop and why?
I'll jump in.
Pick a favourite client, basically.
One of our clients is Majestic Wines. I'm sure you've all got a Majestic wine near you. Look at the website, Majestic. Good plug. No, in actual fact, we had a situation whereby there was a need, or there was a wish to have a mobile application, and we could have gone off and we could have built a label scanner, or like a device that you could point at a bottle and then it says, you can buy this at Majestic for $9.99. Or we could have done a food matcher with the front bottle. You've chosen a Pinot Noir, you should be eating fish with it or whatever. And what we did actually was we created something very simple. It doesn't have to be difficult, and all it was a simple quiz and a daily quiz. And the reason why we did that is because we got under the skin of the brand. I think this is important. This is why it's my favorite one. The difference between the Majestic staff and, let's say, the staff at a Tesco is the fact that the people that work on the shop floor, they're all trained. They've been working with wine their whole lives. They know a lot about wine. You can walk up to them and you can say, look, tell me about the difference between one or the other. If you go to Tesco or another supermarket, odds are the person that you stop who works there, they might say, sorry, actually I don't work in that aisle or whatnot. So we got under the skin of the brand, and that was their USP, which is the knowledge the staff has, and we wanted to transfer that knowledge to the audience who love wine. You tend to shop at Majestic if you love wine. You don't just go for the cheaper stuff. You love wine, you're very interested in learning stuff about wine, and therefore, whilst the solution wasn't it wasn't a 3D game, it wasn't WebGL, it wasn't mind-blowing from a technology point of view, it was the absolute right solution for what Majestic was trying to achieve, which is make people aware that we know wines and we'd like to share the knowledge with you, and that's why it's my favorite.
Any other? Quickly, want to summarise your favourite one?
Yeah, I think what's interesting, and it's the same reason for you, is it's how well did you hit the insight, how well did you hit the thing behind it that actually delivered the app. So the one that sprung to mind for me, which is a really simple one, we did a stop smoking sort of campaign for the COI, and it was really simple piece of work actually, and but what was happening is we wanted to appeal to the youth audience, and it was the situation with those is that they tend not to listen to anti-smoking messages. They're like, right, cancer's an old person's disease, it doesn't really matter, you know, people I'm gonna die of something, I may as well die of that, you know. And the messaging just bounces off them, it doesn't really matter. But one thing they do care about is how do they look, and what is their you know, how does smoking affect what happens to them. So the message is kind of, you know, smoking ages the skin prematurely. So very, very simple app, basically. It was a hybrid app, so it was done, it probably only took us a few days, we did it pro bono for them, and you basically inhale on a cigarette and you blow out into the microphone of your camera, and the sound of the sort of smoke coming out, sorry, missed the first bit, you take a photo of your face, right? And then you inhale on the cigarette, blow out, and then just we sort of affect the graphics and we age your skin by about 40 years. You look like a sort of ancient pensioner, and it's all wrinkly and all that kind of stuff. And then you can instantly share that photo onto Facebook. So really, really sort of simple app, executed very, very fast. Had to be an app because we needed the camera and we needed that sort of effect. But it really hit on the insight, and I think that's why for me it's the favourite.
Any other thoughts?
Mine is our multiple award-winning app for Bacardi. Wherein we were talking earlier on about smartphone penetration. We built an app for Bacardi to target students, that not just have them smoke less, but actually have them drink more. Not that that's a particularly hard thing to do. But 91% of all undergraduate students in the UK last year had smartphones. So clearly it was the best way to engage with them. So we built an app that redeemed vouchers within within Wetherspoons pubs, because we knew they would do that. But what it also did was it used the Aurasma, augmented reality technology, and it allowed them basically to tag physical objects with social content. So for instance, if Doug and I were in a pub, we could make a video of ourselves and then attach it to this bottle, then send a message via Twitter or via Facebook to one of our friends, who would then scan the bottle and see our content play off the bottle as an augmented reality layer. What was quite funny was that, you know, we thought students would enjoy this, but not quite as much as they did. So students were like tagging content onto traffic cones because they have a mate who gets drunk and puts a traffic cone on his head. And my personal favourite was one that was tagged for a guy called Dave. And his mate had made a video and tagged it to the bowl of the toilet in the gents, saying, "Dave, next time you see this, you'll be puking into it." So I thought it was great. But it created, you know, so what we put a sales promotion in the context of shared social content, which is obviously a sweet spot for that group.
Anything you want to talk about, Douglas? Particularly. Fair enough. Okay. Right.
I will say something. I mean, in terms of sort of most interesting apps, actually most of the apps that I've done have been pretty practical, deliver information to consumers. I mean, we do quite a lot of work for Infiniti, which is the luxury arm of Nissan, and so we've done a variety of iPad apps for them around motor shows and things, which have been beautiful things. But in terms of I can't compete with you know, tagged toilets, I'm afraid.
I think we've kind of run out of time there, unfortunately, but that was a really interesting session. Thank you very much for your time indeed. It was fantastic. Thank you.